You are tuned in to the Fearless Rebel podcast with me, your host, Michael Fletcher, aka Michael Locks to God, and my beautiful co-host, Danielle Justiniano-Fletcher. And today's topic is how to co-parent with a narcissist. Stay tuned.
I'm rising like the phoenix, I'm never gonna settle. I've been through hell and back, yeah, I'm harder than the devil. I'm up to rise and shine, bro, you can't outshine this bezel. None of y'all are fucking with me, cause I'm a fearless rebel. Cause I'm a fearless rebel. Cause I'm a fearless rebel. Cause I'm a fearless rebel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fearless Rebel podcast. I am your host, Michael Fletcher, aka Michael Locks to God, and here with me is
Danielle Justiniano-Fletcher.
Oh, listen how soft her voice is. Ain't so cute, y'all. Yeah, man, it feels good to be back with another episode. Like I said, she is now part of the show. This is our show now, and we've gotten so much good responses back from the last episode. So many people that were in similar situations dealing with a narcissist for many years just found it phenomenal and are really glad that we're actually touching on this topic, because there's not a lot of people that really touch on this topic or really talk about it, or a lot of people don't even know what it is. So it's very important that we shed light on what it is, where it comes from, how to identify the signs, and how to lead the relationship. And today we're going to be talking about co-parenting with the narcissist. Is it easy? No, it sucks. It really, really does. Matter of fact, we're both going through it right now, and we felt the effects of it earlier today.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch on that, or should we just move along?
Well, co-parenting with a narcissist is impossible. I wouldn't say I wouldn't even call it co-parenting. I'd call it parenting from a distance. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as the kids come back, you have to debrief.
Yep.
Talk about what's going on, what happened, what we can do the next time. But yeah, co-parenting with a narcissist is not a thing. They like to hold the power, especially when they have the children. They will hold that power and they will dangle it in front of your face. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, earlier today I dealt with it. My children's father, I actually texted him and reminded him that he's supposed to have them call me on FaceTime daily. This is the first time that I got a call in actually 2 weeks that they've been over there. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even 5 minutes into the conversation, and he grabbed the phone out of the kid's hands because I made a comment about what did I even say? I can't even remember what happened.
It was something minuscule, and he just made a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, usually when dealing with a narcissist, you don't even remember how it all started. You just remember the ending. Yeah,
because they take you on a runaround.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's like it's almost as if they're purposely trying to confuse you. So when they gaslight you, like I guess it has more of an effect. I don't know. I can't understand because I'm not a narcissist, but
yeah, and they like to bring it back around and blame you for the whole situation, like you're the bad person, you're the one that did something.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, and just kept on just agging it on over like the littlest thing that it didn't even make sense or whatever. Like, especially when you were sitting there saying, hand the phone back to the kids or whatever, and he was like, but you're yelling. And it's like, you wasn't even yelling, for one, and for two, it's like, if you was, it would be because he's not handing the phone. It's not like you was yelling at the kids.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like they sit there and try to make it seem worse than what it is, that whatever we're doing that they don't agree with is aimed at the kids, when it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, exactly. and then for him to turn around and say that I'm confusing his children. But a few minutes before that, he was saying, I'm going to have your children read the text message about how I said something about him snatching the phone away from the kids, and I just wanted to say goodbye, and he's not having them call me back. So he said that he was going to have the children read that and be witnesses. So they like to drag children into this as well. Mm-hmm. Even if you try to protect your children from the arguments and whatever it may be that you get, that friction in between you and that other person, they want to drag the children into it.
Mm-hmm. And it's sad because it's like throwing them in the line of fire. They're the casualty. And all because that their motives are fueled on self-hate for one, insecurities another one, and just for the simple fact that they're no longer with the other parent, especially if the other parent decided to leave and take the children. So it's very unfortunate. I've been going through it as well, especially this past few. Not even just the past few weeks. I mean, it has been really rough this past week, but the past couple of months, like my oldest son has been getting into a lot of trouble and just doing stuff out of character and like disrespecting his mom and stealing and sneaking off, lying, and just all this vindictive type stuff. And she's constantly texting me talking about all the things that he's doing that she doesn't approve of, and he's doing wrong and stuff, but at the same time giving him all this freedom and stuff. And it's like, that's another thing, is they want to have control over the situation to where they feel like that they're trying to make it seem like that they're a good parent when they're the ones that's causing all the problems with the children, like with throwing them in the line of fire, and same with allowing someone who should be grounded, because our son's grounded for the whole month, but she's still letting him go to camp and swimming and all this stuff, leaving him home alone, knowing that he shouldn't be home alone because he can't even be trusted when you're around, as far as that goes. But so it's like Wifey said, it's impossible it's damn near impossible to co-parent, but you got to try to make it the best situation out of it, because I mean, there's really not much you can do unless the other person is literally putting the kids or your safety in harm's way. And
even so, sometimes that's tricky.
Yeah.
Because I've been in that situation where the children have been in harm's way and are in disgusting situations, and nothing is done about it. I've reached out to every outlet I possibly can, and it's rough. I don't know if it's just New York City or what, but that's where my court case is, and there's no way for me to move it as of now. So this is what I have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, and it's unfortunate because, like we talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on the last one. Yeah, we did talk about a little bit about the New York courts and how they drag stuff out, because the longer they drag it out, for every court date, they get paid, Yeah. So I've never seen courts behave like how the courts do up here, because, like I said, in Kentucky, he wouldn't have been able to get away with none of the stuff he was able to get away with up here. What was you about to say?
A friend of mine actually brought something to light too. She said the parent that's in the state that the court order is in, the court usually sides more with them because they're a voter in that state.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all about politics. Cause it's not about safety or the well-being of the children or the family. Like, it shouldn't even be called family courts, to be honest.
No.
And I mean, and one thing that really blew my mind is to find out that they're not even judges that hear these cases. They're referees.
Yeah, magistrate.
Yeah, so that makes that lets you know that this is a game, like, I mean, it's ridiculous. So
It's just a job to them. It's not life for them.
At
they
all.
don't understand that.
until they go through it.
Exactly. They get to go home at the end of the day and forget about everything. Meanwhile, we're living with the choices that they made for us.
Yeah, and it's so sad, man. There's really no justice in the justice system anymore, or was there ever? Mm-hmm. But when co-parenting or whatever, like what we're talking about, you want to focus on the best interests of the children. Yes. So the kids need to be at the forefront, and it's really hard to do this. I mean, it's easier to put our kids in the forefront when we don't have to deal with the drama and the negativity and stuff. So, and especially when you're dealing with younger kids, they don't really understand completely, so they don't really see the whole side of the other parent like we do as the other parent. So to them, it's like, when we speak of these things, it's hard for them to understand or even try to prep them for it, because the narcissist will show them one side to keep them in and try to paint
brainwash them.
Yeah, brainwash them into thinking that it's all the fault of the other parent. Mm-hmm. Because I know he does the same thing that my ex does, is like saying that it's all it's all me, or it's all you, and that they didn't say this or whatever, they didn't say that, but there's never any evidence to support their claims when they bring the kids into it. And kids are going to be kids or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter if a parent is yelling or doing this. So yeah, it might hurt the kids' feelings or feel scared, but they're going to get used to that. They're just going to think that that's how that person is. So they don't understand the difference between right and wrong at a young age when it comes to their parents. Because in a child's eyes, we're God to them.
Yeah.
We feed them, clothe them, and everything. So that's one of the most difficult things is having small children with it. And they use that to their advantage. Like,
they do.
Yeah. Remember that one time he pulled Eli out the car and held him hostage at the store?
Yeah. And yeah, they do the most just to get a rise out of the other parent. Honestly, a majority of narcissistic parents do not have the best interest of the child in mind. At all. What they're doing is they're using the children as pawns. Mm-hmm. They want to use the children to get at the parent. They want to feed them all this information about how good of a parent they are and how much they quote unquote love them. But those are just words. Most of the time, they're not even shown the love that the parent is saying they have for them. Yep. Unless friends and family are there. Exactly. Then that's when they show a little bit. They try to make it seem like, oh, I do this all the time. This is me in dad mode or mom mode 24/7 when it's a lie. Exactly. And I mean, it's like, I remember that one time when this chick was living in Lexington, and remember I was on the phone with you, and I went to go pick up Kanzar, and she was mad for the simple fact that I was on the phone with you, and tried to go off and put her fingers in my face and push me out the door and all this, locked the door, wouldn't let me get the kids. I had to end up calling Fayette County Sheriff. And it's just like, all because she's jealous that I was on the phone with you. Yeah. And it's like, it's nonsense. Like, they never put the kids in the focus. They never put the reality in the focus because they're too busy living in the past. Yeah. They want to have that hold on you. Yeah. And I think a lot of times once they realize they don't have that hold anymore, they start fading away. Yes. And the kids don't hear from them. It's just like they disappear for a while. And then out of nowhere, it's like, okay, I'm starting to think about this other person again. Let me start calling the kids. Yeah. Let me start texting the other parent and see what the kids are doing. But the motive behind that is, okay, let me see if I can drag them back into my hands.
Yep. And they'll use every bit of conversation to try to work that magic. Mm-hmm. It's really crazy. So another thing that you want to do when co-parenting with the narcissist, you have to establish boundaries. Mm-hmm. Clear and firm boundaries. And this is another difficult. All of these are difficult. Don't get me wrong. But some of these are more difficult than the others. Setting clear boundaries for narcissists is their worst nightmare, because they're not used to being put in a box or in a place, or they're
blocked off from you.
Yeah, they want to be in the limelight. They crave that attention. They crave that
control.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be the one that's in charge of how much you talk to them, when you talk to them, what you're talking to them about.
Yep.
And once you establish that boundary, they really dislike it, and they will test you. They will keep trying to get you to talk more and to go back to the person that you were before, allowing them to act that way.
Yep.
But you need to be strong and hold those boundaries firm. I don't speak to my children's father unless, one, he has them and there's something wrong, mm-hmm. or two, he's texting me asking for them. I will give him a quick answer. They're fine. They will call you at such and such time, and that's it. No further conversation. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me about my life. Don't ask me about anything that the children cannot answer themselves.
Right, exactly. And see, that was one of the things that I had a problem with for the longest, is like, because you know me, like my mouth was fly, mm-hmm. and I love getting my point across, especially if I got time that day. But I didn't understand until you pointed it out that it was just another tactic for her to talk to me. It didn't matter if it was mm-hmm. me cussing her out. It didn't matter if it was me talking crazy or whatever.
She got your energy.
Yes, exactly. And
she got your time.
Yeah, and I refused that anymore. Like, I'm not even gonna argue, because arguing with the fool from a distance, one can't tell the difference between the two. So, mm-hmm. you know, and it's definitely a process, y'all. Like, by no means is this going to happen overnight or even in a few weeks or anything. I mean,
it takes years.
Yes, it is.
It might sound hard, and it might sound like, is it worth it, or should I leave, or what should I do? But it is definitely worth it. Over time, you will heal. Over time, you will get stronger. Over time, you will learn how to deal with the other person, mm-hmm. without draining your own energy. Because if you're there, your energy is drained constantly.
Yes.
I looked like a zombie walking around because my energy was just drained. Dealing with somebody that's upset every day and arguing every day, that's not the way to live.
It's like walking through a house that there's landmines on the floor, but you mm-hmm. don't know where they are. And it's like, forget walking on eggshells. We had to walk on landmines. Mm-hmm. And because you never know when a narcissist is going to explode. Yeah. You never know when they're going to just snap or whatever. It's hard to figure out their moods. You can definitely feel the energy, but that
energy is there all the time.
Yeah.
There's rarely a positive energy, especially towards their significant other. Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to friends and certain family members, they can put a hold on that negative energy. But for the most part, what I've seen and what I've experienced, that person will always have that negative it's like a negative view on you. Mm-hmm. And you're constantly the bad guy. No matter if you're trying to figure out if they're okay, if you're trying to feed them, if you're trying to do something nice with them, they will always find a way to flip that around. Oh, why do you want to go somewhere? Oh, why did you cook that?
Yeah.
Or why are you sitting like that? What's wrong with your face? Why did you wear that today? It's just, they will pick anything to argue about.
And it's even worse when you're not with them and have to exchange the kids and stuff. So it's like and I feel like every time they see the kids and the kids may look like us or may behave like us doing something, and that just sets off something within them, and they take it out on the kids because all they see is the past and stuff. So when you're establishing these boundaries, you also want to communicate effectively, and we cannot stress this enough. You got to be concise and as factual as possible, almost as if it's almost like you're doing a business transaction. Well, I mean, it is a business transaction, but because they will twist up your words, they will distort reality and stuff. So it's good to leave a paper trail. What we like to do is communicate through text instead of on the phone. That way, in case the narcissist is like, oh, you didn't say that. All right, here's a screenshot. I circle where I said it. All right, so now what you got to do. So it's important that you get all your ducks in a row, because as weird as it seems, a lot of narcissists may behave foolishly, but they're really good at what they do. And they're good at lying, they're good at manipulating, they're good at gaslighting, they're good at distorting reality and draining your energy with their foolishness. So you got to make sure that all your ducks are in a row and communicate effectively in order to get somewhere with them. I don't know how far it's going to go, because if you're dealing with the narcissist like we each dealing with one, so it's like double for both of us or whatever, because when he starts with my wife, like it trickles down onto me and stuff, and it's just hard not like being able to set boundaries myself, because as a man, like it's been twice already that we done went at it and it almost got physical, but I didn't want to take it that far for the simple fact I knew he was going to call the police, and for two, even if I whoop his ass, he's still going to be a narcissist. He's still going to do his BS. He's still going to have a distorted reality of everything. So
no one can change them but themselves. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. And that's exactly what I told him this morning. Because his attitude is terrible, and he's yelling at the kids when I'm on the phone with them, and then he's what happened is that I told them I would call them later. And when you was talking to Zion. Yeah, and he was like, well, they're not going to be home till late, so I don't know what you expect. And I'm like, I don't understand where that came from or why, but you need to learn how to speak to people. And
he's horrible with that.
That's what I said. So he grabbed the phone and he said, are you going to teach me how to speak? I said, oh, no, I can't teach you how to speak. You have to learn that on your own. I've tried that in the past, and it did not work. So you need to learn how to speak to people. And then that's where it went off. I asked him if I can speak to can you hand the phone back to the kids? No, he kept going and yelling. Can you hand the phone back to the kids? Oh, you want to speak to the kids? Yes. Can you hand the phone back to them? No. I asked him about 10 times if he can hand the phone back to the kids. Instead of doing so, he continued to yell at me. I asked him, why am I looking at your face? I did not call to speak to you. I called to speak to them. Put them back on the phone. No. So I hung up. That's what I've learned to do in this situation. You can't do anything but hang up on them. And you know what? Hanging up on them is better than being face to face with them. So if you have to deal with them from a distance, then do that. Because dealing with them face to face, what do? I've tried to get away from him. I've locked myself in the bathroom. What does he do? Bust down the door.
Remember at one time he picked you up and put you over his shoulder?
Oh, yeah. That was already after I left him. We weren't together anymore, and I refused to talk to him. So what did he do? throw me over his shoulder and refuse to put me down until I talked to him. A neighbor had to come out of her house, and she told him to put me down because obviously I didn't want to talk to him. That's not a way to get somebody to talk to you. That's irrational.
Yeah, and not just irrational, but it's also a crime.
Yeah.
That's technically kidnapping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is just some of the things that we have to deal with damn near on a daily basis. Like, we're here in New York City because my stepkids, her 3 that she had with him, they go to see him for a month throughout the year since we was able to move. And it's always hell anytime they go over. Just like my oldest 2 kids, it's always hell when they go over to their mom's house. And it's very sad and unfortunate that we have to worry about our children going to the other parent's house. That should be the last person that you would think would harm your kids or neglect your kids. Yeah, put them in harm's way and stuff. And it's just like, there are countless stories that we could tell y'all right now. I'm sure we could do it on another episode, but that has to do with the kids in harm's way, hurt, sick. I'm surprised ain't none of them got sick this time.
Zion's coughing, so I can't even say he's not sick. For the past 2 years when we've come to bring them for visitation, they've caught COVID over there.
Mm-hmm. And then brought it to us last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's horrible. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't get some people, and I guess I never will. So document everything. Make records of every communication. If there's a custody agreement, have that on hand at any given time, especially so in case that they try to, what is the word I'm looking for?
Withhold the children.
Yeah,
keep
withhold
the children, or try to take the children when it's not their time to take the children, whatever it may be, because I've had to call the police and they've asked for the custody order because I've gone to pick the kids up when it's my time to pick them up, and he's refused on multiple occasions. He just would not give the kids back. Yep,
and it's crazy. Remember, this chick, she kidnapped Kanzar when I got temporary custody and fled to Lexington.
Yeah,
I had to go on Facebook, ask for help, had MPD helping, and Fayette County. So it's a scary situation. So I'm hoping that anybody that's out there listening that is going through something similar right now, that you taking notes and listening to what we've went through and how you can somewhat co-parent with the other person.
Oh, another thing with documentation, take pictures.
Yes.
If you're sending your children with the father, the mother, whoever it is, take a picture before you send them. Take a picture of how they look, how presentable they look. And then when you get them back, take another picture. Because most of the time, I know for me, when I get my children back, they look like they've been taken through a hurricane, a tornado, whatever it may be, because they look nothing like what they did when I dropped them off.
Yeah, just hair all undone, a damn Christmas sweater in the middle of July, and like, no lie,
a 6-year-old wearing a size 2T coat.
Yeah.
So, take pictures.
Yeah. And after you do all that, if you think about wanting professional help, because we're not professionals. We're not pretending to be professionals. We just have experienced it. So that's what makes us knowledgeable on the topic. And my wife is a neuroscience major. So we understand the psychology of it, and we've experienced
how it affects you.
Yeah, and how it affects. And there's long-term effects, there's short-term effects, there's just a whole cornucopia of things that happens to you when you are a survivor of narcissistic abuse.
You will never be the same person again.
Yeah.
the way that it affects your brain, your amygdala, your hippocampus, all of that, even down to your body, the amount of cortisol that's released when you're so stressed out damages your body. It damages your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So the longer you stay in a situation, the more damage you bring to yourself.
Right, exactly. And I never experienced insecurity in a relationship until I met her. Like that was the first time. Anytime before then, I felt secure in a relationship. It wasn't until then that I really felt insecure because of all the stuff that I believed that she was saying, but it was all lies and bullshit because that's how she truly feels about herself. So we encourage y'all to think about therapy, a family therapist, for you and your children, because it is hard. There's a lot of trauma involved in a relationship. Like, it doesn't always have to be physical, but mental abuse, in my opinion, is worse on the body than physical abuse. And nobody can change my mind, because you can break a bone, it heals 6 weeks, 8 weeks or whatever, but mental, you break your confidence and stuff, it could take years to get that back. So it's really detrimental to your mental health that you seek some kind of professional support. They can help you navigate through life. They can help you find yourself again. What was it ladies talking about? Remember she sent you that one of the long messages or whatever, how she said that listening to the last episode helped her think about leaving her.
Yeah.
After she was in it for 20 years, and she's thinking about leaving because of this podcast. And this is why we do this, y'all, like to inspire, motivate, and inspire people to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
So you also want to foster a stable environment. Like, your children need to be on a routine. They need to feel safe. They need to know that you're predictable. You're there for them to comfort them anytime that they go to the other parent's house. Because it's night and day. When the kids are with you and you're not a narcissist, they feel safe. They feel better than when they go with the other parent. So I can only imagine how it feels to be a child, especially children our age, that goes over to the other parent and they're unpredictable, or the other parent is neglectful or negligent, just emotionless, other than anger and frustration and stuff. So it's got to be hard on the kids and stuff. So you want to create a stable environment, a stable routine, a safe space for them, to let them know that this is home and that over there is just a visit because of the situation. And I mean, try to explain it the best way you can to your kids, but it's going to be hard. Or where you don't want no disruptions or inconsistencies on your part, because they're already happening on the narcissist parents' behalf. They don't stick to their word. They don't stick to a routine. They're chaotic. They're all over the place.
Yeah, and a lot of times their house is not the cleanest.
Yes.
So make sure you have a space where the children know to keep it clean and do what they have to do in order to keep their own space clean. And that will trickle over. They will make sure that they're not, using dirty dishes or putting on dirty clothes and staying dirty. You don't know what's going on the other side. Like with mental health issues like narcissism, that's a mental health issue, and usually there's other things that come along with it. If you're depressed, your house can be a wreck. If you have another mental health issue, your house can be a wreck. So you have to think about it the same way. These people, their minds are everywhere. If you have a chaotic mind, you have a chaotic environment.
Yeah, because your house is the extension of your mind. And it's it's just unfortunate for the kids and to have to live in filth or just in an environment where they don't feel safe or can't be themselves and stuff.
Or if they don't have their own space.
Yes, and that happens more often than never. And then and the thing that's crazy to me is that a lot of these narcissistic parents that aren't the primary caretaker of the children don't have the adequate space for the child, but to want the child or children to live with them full time. And it's like, but you ain't even got a bed for them. They ain't even got a room. You know, they ain't got their own little living quarters and stuff. And it's like, that just goes to show that A, they don't care about the kids, and B, they just want the kids because it's going to make themselves feel better because they can go around their family and their friends and they'll be like, oh, I got my kids and stuff.
Yeah, it's like wearing a gold chain. Like, they're just using it to show off. Like, look how great my children are. Look how beautiful my children are. Look how well-groomed my children are. Meanwhile, they just got them from you. You're the one that's teaching them. You're the one that dressed them. You're the one that did their hair. But yet they're taking the props for all of that.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it's how they do. They put in none of the work but take all the credit. And so you also want to shield your children from manipulation and yourself. Like Wifey was saying earlier, you got to prep the kids. Like, when they come back from the other parent's house, you got to debrief them and make sure that there's no nonsense that was going on in their heads, and if there was, then you got to tell the truth about it, because a narcissist is good at lying. A narcissist, that's what they do. They lie, they cheat, they steal. And because it's all about them, so they try to distort everybody's perception, and especially when it comes to making themselves look good.
Yeah. And
stuff. So the other parent is bullshitting when they're gaslighting or manipulating or trying to sway them to think a certain way. And that's another not easy task, because especially if you got smaller children, it's going to be hard for them to understand what some of these red flags are.
Yeah, well, for me, in my opinion, when you have smaller children, you need to just tell them to let you know everything that goes on there. Anything that made them unhappy, anything that made them uncomfortable.
Yep.
You ask them to let you know, so then you can explain it to them. Because it's hard for small children to understand what's going on. So if they're uncomfortable and stuff, you need to know what made them uncomfortable, why were they uncomfortable, and what they can do, or what you can do
to make the situation better.
Yeah.
And you got to focus on self-care for yourself. Like, you got to stop having interactions with the narcissist. You got to take time out for yourself so you can be able to breathe and think about your next moves, especially if something happens. You can't always be all wound up. You got to think five steps ahead. It's like playing chess, because they're always thinking ahead. So you got to be ahead of them and stuff. You got to take care of you, because if you don't take care of you and you perish, then the other parent wins and your children lose.
Yeah, you can't take care of anyone else if you don't take care of yourself
Exactly.
first. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, so exercise, meditate, do yoga, martial arts, dance. Yes.
You need a routine.
Yes.
Because it sounds good. It sounds like something, oh, okay, I think I'll be able to do that. But then you do it once, you do it twice, and then it goes out the window because you don't have a routine. You're just doing it whenever you can.
Yep.
So setting a routine is a big thing. Wake up at the same time every morning. Do the same thing every morning, whether it be wake up, take a shower, meditate, read for a few minutes, and then go about your day or work out whatever it is that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these years dealing with the narcissist, I'm pretty sure you weren't able to do what you wanted to do. You were living on that other person's time, what that other person wanted you to do. So taking care of yourself and focusing on self-care is much needed so that you can live your life and have a sense of self, that you are yourself again. You are you, and nobody else can sway you.
Exactly. Couldn't said it better myself. So when you stick to that routine, it takes, to piggyback off it takes around about 21 days for it to become a habit. When you're doing the same thing over and over again, and then it makes it easier. So don't just give up after a week or two or whatever. At least 21 days it becomes a habit, and then I believe it's like 40 days becomes I forgot what it is, and then 90 days it becomes a lifestyle. So don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself some credit, cut yourself some slack, but get on a routine. And if you need to look up some legal support, like a family court lawyer and stuff. From what I've seen and witnessed, and from what my wife has seen, and I'm sure you can vouch on this, it's better to just study up family law on your own.
Yeah, look up the laws in your state and study them. You have to know it yourself. If you are serious about it and you care so much about your kids, you will study it, because nobody can protect them and vouch for them more than you can.
Exactly. And not to mention that lawyers are officers of the court, so they work for the courts. They want to get paid. A lot of them can't even remember your name or remember the children's names because they got so many cases on their workload. And I mean, it's ridiculous. And I mean, now if you get a paid attorney, that's a little bit different because money talks. So if you paying them $10,000, $15,000, or got them on a retainer for $2,500, $3,000 or whatever, then chances are you got something good going, because the more you spending, the more the lawyer is going to actually do in your favor. But from what we've seen, especially getting like a non-paid lawyer or a court-appointed lawyer, you don't want to do that, because they're going to take a leave of absence right in front of you, and they're going to drag it on and on and on. And there are people up here in New York that has been going to family court for 10 years?
Yeah.
And if it gives you some kind of insight on how the family law and court works up here. So it's really important that you understand your laws in your state accordingly, and just do the best, because you don't have to be a lawyer to represent yourself. Like you don't have to have a license to practice law. Like, it is a common misconception that people be like, oh, well, why do they take the bar exam? Well, that's not necessarily like that. You don't have to have that. That's just part of some kind of little, it's a British registry, something. It's like a little club that they have and stuff. But you don't have to have a license to practice law. A civilian.
You can always represent yourself. A lawyer can represent another person.
Yep. Or a corporation.
You can also have what is it called?
Counsel.
No. Like, if you can speak for someone else, you have to sign something.
Power of attorney.
Power of attorney. You can speak for someone else.
Yeah.
The power of attorney.
Yeah. So yeah.
And a lawyer is an attorney. So.
Yeah, and so like, yeah, and people need to be knowing law anyway, because if you're a civilian, which you are, like us, civilians like should be studying civil.
Everyone deserves to know their rights.
Yes, because if you don't understand your rights, you don't have any. because I'm telling you, they will treat it as if you do not have any rights there. But that's why you got to go in a courtroom and fight, because you're fighting for your rights and you're fighting for your life. And if you don't speak up, silence is the same as complicity in law. So you do not want to keep quiet on that. And last but not least, man, like, you got to stay resilient. Like, it's an ongoing challenge. You got to focus on your children, first of all, and building a better life for them. You got to focus on yourself, building a better life for you as well. Don't leave you out. You are important. You are just as important as your children, because you're taking care of your children. Like Wifey said, if you can't take care of you, you can't take care of your children. And then you'll be forced to let somebody else take care of them. And that's the last thing that we want. Like, we want every single one of you that are listening right now, that are going through this, to understand that you are not alone. We are here with you. We are standing right here. Anytime that you feel like you are in the dumps or in the shadow, remember, we've been in the same spot as you. And by the grace of God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, we was pulled out of it. We found each other, and we have been doing fantastic ever since. Our family grew, our confidence has grown, our friends, our circle of influence, our careers. I mean, everything has flourished now that we left these horrible people.
Yeah. And one of my biggest mottos is, if someone can do it, I can. So if you see that someone else can get out of the situation and make a beautiful life for themselves, so can you. I don't let anything stop me. Resilience is the one thing that has brought me this far. I am resilient. Anytime something shoots down my whatever I'm doing, I keep going. Find something else to do until this door opens back up. But resilience is key.
Yes. And I'm a strong-willed individual myself, but I'm going to tell y'all right now that this beautiful lady right here has strengthened my backbone even more since I met her. Like, with everything that I'm doing now, my ex tried to tear away from me, and she helped rebuild me back up to who I am and made me actually better. No longer the regular Michael. I'm 2.0. You feel me? And so, like, it's really important that you have a support system as well and stuff. And I just happen to have one with my wife, who has went through something similar. So we bond over that, and we bring it to the table on this show.
And if you don't have a support system, create your support system.
Don't wait for it to come to you. You know, if there's no opportunity, create it. You know, there's a lot of people. You'd be surprised how many people feel exactly like you do, but they're just too afraid to say anything. Like, there are so many people, and since we did this episode last week, I mean, it has really gotten some positive feedback, and people are reaching out that I would never suspect to be in a relationship with a narcissist, and said it has helped them, and that their story is similar to ours and stuff. So it is really humbling and really such a blessing to see people be able to relax, and because now they know that they're not alone. Not only are they not alone, but the people that share the same experience with them is speaking out on a public platform and trying to gather other like-minded individuals together.
I think something too is that people don't feel like they're alone. They feel like they're crazy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's not about feeling like you're alone in it. It's about feeling like you lost your mind. Like, am I really this bad? Am I really in this situation? Yes, you are. Open your eyes, wake up, and walk out of that terrible dream that you're in.
Yes. And there was one lady that said something on the post. What was it that she said? That the reason why she stopped talking about it was the simple fact that people would come up with such naive questions as like, well, why don't you just leave? Yeah. Well, if it was that simple, would have done it a long time ago.
It's not that easy because when you're in it, you don't see it.
Yeah.
You don't see it, and like I just said, you feel like you're crazy. Maybe you lost it. Maybe something just triggered you and you lost your damn mind. But guess what? You didn't lose your mind. They lost their mind, and they took you down there with them.
Yep.
So once you realize it, you're hearing this right now, and you feel like you're in that situation, this is your message to wake up and walk out.
Yes, I urge you to, because we don't want to see any more people go through what we had to go through, because it was horrible. So not only are we doing this podcast, but also we have a book out that you can go find it on my website, and it's going to be up on Danielle's website too. It's just weird saying your name. It's going to be on Babe's website too. It's called The Stranger in My Bed, and it's inspired by the last week's episode, Stranger in My Bed. And it's a look at narcissism in relationships and how to leave and heal. So it's a free download on my website, IamMichaelFletcher.com. And it's just a quick little 15-page book. And a lot of the stuff that we talked about today is in this book. And it is in chapter 6, Co-Parenting with the Narcissist. So make sure y'all head on over to the website. Once again, it's www.IamMichaelFletcher.com, and it's going to be on www.herbalhempress.com this week.
It is on.
Oh, it's already.
It's up on.
It's already. Okay. All right. Cool. So y'all make sure y'all go and check out her page or whatever, and also check out her services. She offers all kinds of stuff, doula services, and everything.
Yeah, spiritual services, health services. If you need to plan your life and figure out how to reach your goals, I'm your person. If you're pregnant, expecting, you need to know your rights. You need to know what to expect, and you need help through it all. Doula services, and I'll be having childbirth education classes. I don't have them scheduled yet, but that'll be upcoming too. And also we have a few events coming up as well on August 12th. Yeah, August 12th from 4 to 6 at Mason County Public Library. We're going to be having a small business boot camp. And on October 7th, I believe.
This is either 6th or 7th.
It's the 7th. October 7th, we're having an event called I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, and it's going to be open to women and young women ages 12 to 17. Tickets are up on my website as well. You can email me or whatever, just go on the website and see, and that's going to be an event, like I said, for women and young women, about health, wellness, business, and much more. There's going to be a lot of successful women speaking at that event.
Yeah, I can't wait to. I'm gonna be the only dude in there because I'm doing the videography, y'all. So all you ladies out there, man, if you're in the area, if you're close to Maysville, man, please come support these groups or whatever, because we definitely need the support. We need the community to come in because there's a lot of people that can benefit from this. So I want to appreciate y'all tuning in. We're reaching the end of our show. Once again, it has been a pleasure being with y'all, man. I just love this and getting all the feedback and everything from all the listeners and stuff. And shout out to everybody that is watching us. Let me go in here. Like, I do remember that we got people listening in Kuwait. Let's see. Of course, United States. Where'd it go? Oh, audience right here. Okay, shout out to, of course, the good old U.S. of A. Kuwait, Canada, Ireland, United Kingdom, Australia, Mexico, Singapore, India, Poland, and Brazil. We want to thank every single one of y'all for tuning in week after week, supporting the podcast. Man, you guys have been amazing. Once again, I am your host who does the most from coast to coast, so let's propose a toast. Michael Fletcher, a.k.a. Michael Locks the God, here with my beautiful wife co-host.
Danielle Justiniano-Fletcher.
Oh, she's still so cute, y'all. Oh, man. Until next time, tomorrow. Because now, I forgot to tell y'all, we're doing 2 episodes a week, every Friday and Saturday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until then, I love y'all.